Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, you're joining us as we unpack the world of financial gifting. It's a really central part of smart legacy planning.
Absolutely.
Think of this as like your shortcut to understanding how you can actively shape your family's future and, create some truly lasting opportunities for the people you care about most.
Yeah, definitely.
We're looking at a range of ideas today, pulling from sources like Family Future and others too. The main focus, our mission, if you will, is how do you effectively gift wealth to your loved ones?
It's such a crucial conversation, especially when you think about, well, how much longer people are living now and how the economy keeps, shifting.
Right.
Planning for the next generation. It isn't just a nice to have anymore, is it? It feels pretty essential.
It really does.
And it's about so much more than just passing on money. It's about weaving in your values, providing a real safety net for your family.
Exactly. And as we get deeper into this, you'll see that financial gifting, it really is both an art and a science. There are tax rules to navigate, the right tools to pick, and maybe surprisingly, the timing of your gifts can be incredibly powerful.
That'd be a great point.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. What do we actually mean when we say financial gifting?
Well, in simple terms, it's when you transfer assets, money, property, whatever, to someone else without expecting anything back in return.
Okay.
It's a one-way street, basically. Driven by generosity, wanting to support someone, provide opportunities.
Right. Okay. Now, there's this key piece of info from the IRS that really sets the stage for a lot of gifting strategies.
You mean the annual exclusion?
Exactly. The annual exclusion for gift tax. Can you break that down for us?
Absolutely. So as of 2021, and these numbers can change, mind you, the IRS lets you gift up to $15,000 per person per year.
Okay.
And the important part is that amount doesn't count against your lifetime gift in a state tax exemption.
Ah.
Now, here's where it gets, strategically interesting for listeners. You can give this $15,000 to multiple individuals.
Right. Not just one person total.
No. Each one. Your kids, grandkids, friends, whoever. Every single year. And none of those individual $15,000 gifts will trigger the gift tax. So as the giver, you have this opportunity annually with each person.
That's such a crucial point. So for you listening, it's not one $15K limit overall. It's per person you gift to.
Correct.
So using this strategically year after year can be a really effective tax-smart way to transfer wealth over the long haul.
Definitely. It adds up.
Now, beyond just, writing a check, what are some of the more structured ways to do this, these gifting vehicles we hear about?
Yeah, there are several key tools people use, and each one's kind of designed with different goals and advantages. Let's start with 529 plans.
Ah, yes, the education savings accounts. Right. Tell us more about why they're so powerful for gifting.
Well, what's really valuable about 529s is their specific focus on education costs. The money you put in grows tax-free. And then, when it's pulled out for qualified education expenses, tuition, books, room and board, sometimes those withdrawals are also tax-free at the federal level, usually state level too.
Okay.
But here's the bit that can be a real eye-opener for some folks. Contributions aren't limited to just the parents.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends. Anyone can contribute to a child's 529. It can actually become this really neat, collaborative way to fund someone's education down the line.
That's a fantastic point and maybe something you, the listener, hadn't realized. So if you're a grandparent thinking about helping with college,
But 529 is definitely worth a look.
good to know. Okay, what's another key gifting vehicle we should be aware of?
Next up, we have trusts. Trusts, they play a really vital role in providing long-term security and, importantly, control over how the money is eventually used.
Control seems key there.
It often is. Think of a trust like a special container, right?
Mm-hmm.
You set it up with specific instructions for how the contents of your assets should be managed and handed out to your loved ones later on. So you, the person setting it up, the grantor, you transfer assets to a trustee. That trustee manages them for your beneficiaries, who is your family, for instance.
And we often hear about different kinds of trusts. What's a key difference people should grasp?
Yeah, the main distinction is usually between revocable and irrevocable trusts.
Okay.
A revocable trust, well, like the name says, you can change it or even dissolve it while you're alive.
Ah, flexible.
Exactly. That flexibility can be really useful if your situation changes, financially or with the family. But the trade-off is it typically doesn't offer the same level of estate tax benefits as an irrevocable one.
Got it. And irrevocable.
That one's much harder to change once it's set up.
Yeah.
Give up some control, yeah, But this structure usually offers stronger protection against estate taxes and maybe potential creditors. So that might be a key thing for your long-term security goals.
So revocable for flexibility, irrevocable often for, let's say, better tax protection and stricter long-term control. That helps.
That's a good way to summarize it.
Okay. What about another common way to transfer assets, especially maybe to younger family members?
Right. That brings us to custodial accounts. You might hear them called UGMA. That's Uniform Gifts to Minors Act. Or UTMA, Uniform Transfers to Minors Act.
UGMA, UTMA.
Well, these let you transfer assets, could be stocks, bonds, mutual funds, to a minor. A custodian, usually a parent or guardian, manages the account for the child.
Seems straightforward.
It is, relatively.
Yeah.
But the crucial thing to understand is that the minor gets full control of all those assets once they reach the age of majority.
Which varies.
Yes, it varies depending on your state law. Could be 18, could be 21.
So while it's a fairly simple way to gift, you really need to be okay with the idea of that young adult having complete control at, say, 18 or 21.
Precisely. That's the key consideration there.
Now, as we're talking about moving assets around, we absolutely have to touch on taxes again. You mentioned being aware of potential tax liabilities. Can you elaborate a bit?
Absolutely. So that $15,000 annual gift tax exclusion we talked about, that hammers a lot of smaller, regular gifts. But it's essential to see the bigger picture. If you gift more than that $15,000 annual limit to one person in a year, it doesn't automatically mean you owe gift tax right then and there.
Oh.
No. Instead, the amount above that exclusion typically just reduces your lifetime gift and estate tax exemption amount.
Ah, okay. So
See
it
what
chips away at that bigger lifetime limit.
Exactly. And you need to know what that lifetime limit is because it affects the estate tax. That's the federal tax on transferring your taxable estate to beneficiaries after you pass away.
I see.
So these gifting strategies you use now, they can directly impact your potential estate tax bill down the road.
So it's all interconnected. Decisions now affect potential estate taxes later, and this sounds like exactly where getting some professional help is really crucial, wouldn't you say?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Navigating these rules, the tax codes, it can get pretty complex.
I bet.
Consulting with a qualified financial advisor or maybe an estate planning attorney is just invaluable.
Yeah.
They can help you understand the specific tax consequences for your situation. Look for ways to minimize taxes legally and make sure your whole gifting plan aligns with your goals and meets all the legal requirements. You really don't want to guess here.
That's definitely sound advice, not an area for DIY if you can help it.
Agreed.
Now, shifting gears just a bit. You mentioned earlier that financial gifts should really align with our broader legacy goals. What does that look like, practically speaking?
Well, it really starts with you thinking deeply about what you truly want to achieve with your wealth beyond your own lifetime.
Okay.
Like, for example, is your main goal making sure your grandkids have the money for a great education? Or maybe you're really passionate about supporting a child's dream of starting a business, giving them some seed money.
Right.
Or maybe the priority is just providing a financial cushion, offering more security and peace of mind for your loved ones.
So it sounds like different goals might call for pretty different gifting approaches.
Precisely. Funding education. That might point you naturally towards, say, regular contributions to a 529 plan.
Makes sense.
Supporting a business venture. That might involve a more structured gift, maybe through a trust that has certain conditions attached.
Okay.
And providing just a general safety net. That could involve using those annual exclusion gifts consistently, year after year. It really pushes you, the listener, to ask, what are my main goals when I think about my financial legacy?
And that ties right into the point about communication. You stressed how important it is to communicate these intentions clearly to family. Why is that so critical?
Oh, it's huge. Open communication can head off so many potential misunderstandings, maybe even hurt feelings down the road.
Yeah, I can see that.
When your family understands the why behind your gifts, why you picked a certain method, what you hope the money will be used for, how it fits your overall vision, it just fosters much greater appreciation. And it significantly lowers the chance of disputes or, people misinterpreting things later on. It helps get everyone on the same page about the purpose and the expectations.
That makes so much sense. It's not just the money changing hands, it's the thought, the values behind it.
Exactly.
Now, we also wanted to touch on some influential voices who've really shaped how we think about legacy planning and gifting. You mentioned Jane Bryant Quinn and Suze Orman. What are some of their key insights here?
Well, Jane Bryant Quinn, she's been a respected voice in personal finance for ages. Her work often really emphasizes the need for careful, well-informed financial decisions.
Right.
And that absolutely applies to gifting. She encourages a very thoughtful approach, urging people like you listening to really understand the long-term impact of your gifts, to plan strategically, not just impulsively.
So think it through properly.
Yes.
Uh,
Jane Bryant Quinn often stresses clearly defining the why behind your gifts, urging people to consider that long-term effect, not just the immediate transfer.
Okay. And Suze Orman, she brings a bit of a different perspective, doesn't she?
Absolutely. Suze Orman brings a really powerful emotional and psychological lens to financial planning.
Mm.
She is a huge advocate for open, honest conversations about money within families, especially when it comes to passing wealth down.
The communication piece again?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Her focus is often on making sure your financial plans actually align with your core values and that families talk openly to prevent conflict and build, stronger relationships around money.
That sounds important.
It is. And interestingly, she also really emphasizes the why behind financial decisions, pushing families to talk openly about their values and intentions. Suze Orman strongly believes, and I think she's right, that having those proactive, sometimes difficult conversations with family about your plans can prevent major emotional and financial headaches for everyone later.
So Quinn offers that solid strategic financial wisdom, and Orman really zeroes in on the crucial family dynamics, the emotional intelligence part of it all.
Exactly. It's a really valuable combination of perspectives to keep in mind.
Definitely. Now, for something a little different, we found some surprising facts about wealth transfer. The first one was pretty jarring, the statistic about how often wealth disappears within a few generations.
Yes, it's a really sobering statistic, isn't it? Over 70%, 70, of wealthy families lose their wealth by the second generation.
Wow.
And an astounding 90% lose it by the third.
90%.
Yeah. When you connect that back to legacy planning, it just highlights how crucial, thoughtful, effective strategies like the gifting we've been discussing really are. It's clearly not enough just to build wealth. You also need a really well thought out plan to preserve it and pass it on successfully.
That's a powerful motivator right there for taking this seriously. It underlines that building wealth is one challenge, but making it last across generations, that takes real intention, real planning.
Couldn't agree more.
And then there was this growing trend you mentioned, giving while living. Tell us more about the upsides of that approach.
Yeah, this is a really interesting shift in thinking. Traditionally, legacy planning was often seen as something that mostly happens after someone passes away.
Right, through a will or trust distribution.
Exactly. But giving while living encourages people to make significant financial gifts during their lifetime. And the benefit is kind of twofold.
Okay.
First, you actually get to see firsthand the positive impact your generosity has on your loved ones' lives.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Imagine seeing your grandchild thrive because of the education your gift helped pay for, or watching your child's business get off the ground with that early support you provided. That's powerful stuff.
It really is.
And second, depending on how it's structured, it can sometimes offer certain tax advantages during your lifetime as well.
So you get that personal satisfaction of seeing the results, and there might be financial perks too. That definitely makes a strong case for considering it.
And it does for many people.
Okay, as we start to wrap up this deep dive, let's try and summarize some of the key takeaways for you listening.
Sure. I think the core message here is that legacy planning, done through thoughtful financial gifting, is a really powerful way to, well, not only help secure your family's financial future,
Right.
but also to actively pass on your values and create real meaningful opportunities for generations to come.
That sums it up well.
Yeah, by understanding the basics, the rules, exploring the different tools available like those 529s, trusts, custodial accounts, being mindful of the tax side of things, and crucially, communicating openly and honestly with your family about what you're trying to achieve. You can really craft a legacy that reflects your wishes and provides lasting support.
Absolutely. It really boils down to being proactive, being intentional about shaping the future you want for your family.
Well said.
So as you process all this information, we really encourage you, the listener, to think about how these ideas might apply to your own unique situation. Start considering your legacy. What do you want it to be? What kind of impact do you hope to make?
And maybe that leads to one final thought for you to chew on. Beyond just the dollars and cents, the purely financial aspects, what core values do you hope your financial gifts will ultimately instill in the generations that follow?